Now this is podcasting.
All right, welcome to another special series from the Nerd Holes. We're going to be talking tonight about the Phantom Menace. So we're going to be watching the prequels leading up to the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Disney Plus series. Comes out next month.
Yeah, towards the end of next month. Yeah, and actually they just released a couple weeks ago that the first 2 episodes will be out. So.
Yep. So they bumped it out a week and they added the first 2 episodes. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was happy to hear that.
Pretty crazy how they I don't know why. It's weird that they moved it from the 24th or 45th anniversary over. But I guess you told me a while ago that's when Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett come on Fridays, right?
Yes, they do. They do come out on Friday.
So they pushed Obi-Wan to a Friday.
Release. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited because I get to watch 2 episodes, and that gives us more to talk about for the first episode. But
sure, yeah.
It almost kind of worries me a little bit thinking that they showed it to test audiences and they didn't really grasp it without seeing the first 2 episodes in context.
Oh,
so maybe I don't know.
Sure.
I've been trusting anything Star Wars related on Disney.
True.
So who knows? I don't know. I'm totally just speculating, but I could see that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, who knows? I mean, really, the door's open for it. It's a kind of an untapped section of their stuff. Like Rebels the animated series has kind of touched on it and showed Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, but this is much closer to Revenge of the Sith. So
I mean, that was like the first like Star Wars costume that like we were working on was the Nomad, and that's all like legends now.
Yeah,
I actually have a TV series that is Obi-Wan Kenobi hiding on Tatooine.
I know. So technically, once the series starts, that costume we made based off of the statue and the legends and stuff is now technically not canon. There is a canon.
There's a canon version.
What Obi-Wan looks like during the desert. Yeah.
I wish I was around when that, or knew about it when that statue came out, because they sold out quick.
Yeah.
Just the Sideshow did like a special like head cast. They did 3, so it was Ian McGregor and Al Guinness, right?
Yeah.
And then they sculpted a 3rd one that blended them together to make it look like middle-aged, like blending both actors into one. That made them look like middle-aged, and it was like perfect. And it made it look so legit, like that was his natural age progression. And I just love his back. He's got the backpack, and he's got the moisture thing, and he's got the sleeping bag, and he's got the gaffy. It was just.
He has like 2 sets of lightsabers, right? He has.
He has Qui-Gon's, which is interesting considering what happens to Qui-Gon. But
yeah, who does he have? He has Anakin's. And I think his new one. I don't think he has.
I could have swore
maybe he has Qui-Gon's, Anakin's, and his lightsaber. His like later one that he gets again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is really cool.
That is pretty cool. So, would you want to read the synopsis?
Yeah. So here we have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It came out in May 1999, May 19th. I remember my parents like legitimately took me out of school that day and took me to the premiere of it. Because my parents are like super hardcore Star Wars fans. They went and saw the original A New Hope like literally like 20 something times.
Wow.
while it was in theaters, because back then there was no like Blockbuster like we talked about in the other thing. There was nothing. You pretty much saw it in theaters, or that was it. So synopsis. So it's set. So the way they do it in Star Wars, Caleb and I understand this, but the way they do it is you'll see a lot of stuff where it says the number, and then it'll see BBY, and that's like a. I don't think that's like an official. I don't know if it's canonized. I think it's just fan saying that it's so many years before the Battle of Yavin, which is the Death Star.
Yavin 4 or whatever.
Yavin 4. So it's set 32 years before A New Hope, essentially. During an era of the Galactic Republic. So this plot specifically follows Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi as they try to protect Queen Padme Amidala of Naboo in hopes of securing a peaceful end to an interplanetary trade dispute. And then they're later joined by Anakin Skywalker, a young slave with unusually strong natural powers of the Force. And they all simultaneously contend with the mysterious return of the Sith.
Uh-oh.
So that's what's really interesting about it is I was really kind of confused when they first when Qui-Gon first meets Darth Maul. Like, why is he's like, I don't know what that thing is, right? But then they later in the council, they're like, well, they've been what is this what's his name? Kai Mundi, is that what his name is?
Yeah.
He says like they've been gone for like a millennium. So it's a long time.
Yeah, they almost felt like the Sith had been like eradicated, and it was like a long since past.
Really, really interesting.
I wonder, because I don't remember if like Darth Raven fits into like the chronological time line. I don't know if he's a canon, if he's a legend.
I don't know. I really don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, it's pretty much nothing is canon. Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting, right? We'll get into it, but right off the bat, the whole thing about Qui-Gon believes without a doubt that Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one.
Right.
He has been destined to bring balance to the Force. And so the Sith have always been two.
Evidently, yeah.
It's the master and the apprentice. The apprentice rises, kills the master, becomes the master, has an apprentice. Cycle continues.
Right.
The rule of twos, right? The Sith has always been the rule of twos. Meanwhile, the Jedi number into like the thousands.
Yeah.
The Jedi.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was Phantom Menace or it was the second movie, but like the scroll at the beginning say that like the Jedi are overnumbered or whatever they're.
Oh yeah, the scroll.
I forget.
I should look up the scroll. Let me look up the scroll because that's like also a good synopsis for like the lead into the film.
Right. But that has always just been funny to me that they get so mad at Anakin for turning into Darth Vader, but honestly, what did he do? He brings balance to the Force by eradicating the Jedi.
Yeah.
And making it be where it is Palpatine, Darth,
Yep.
What was his name? What's his name? Sidious? No.
Oh, Lord Sidious.
Sidious, yeah. So Lord Sidious and Darth Vader, the rule of twos, and then there's like maybe 4 or 5 Jedi in hiding.
Right.
So it sounds like balance to me.
So here it is. It says turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict. So that's what it says.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so it leads into like the Jedi are like bodyguards essentially. They're not, they have no.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing how they go about that. It's really fascinating to me.
It makes me the more that you watch of like Clone Wars and Rebels, and it makes you kind of hate the Jedi.
Oh, they're stupid in this movie.
In a way where it's just like their belief system is it's outdated, and they did more than good. Because
it's always funny because they're like they always say that the Sith deal with absolutes, and I'm like, so do you guys?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they kind of choose being on the side of like the Senate because it's not the Senate, the Separatists are
right,
the bad guys essentially in this timeline. But it's like they're clearly being used and manipulated as like higher class soldiers, bodyguards.
Oh yeah.
For chancellors, for people on the council, for politicians. They're basically bodyguards for politicians. They have this whole like sect that the Jedi believe in of being like righteous and upright and use your powers for good.
Yeah, they make no mistakes and
They can't have emotions, they can't be connected, they can't have connection to people because it leads to the dark side. And at the same time, they're almost like puppets on a string.
Oh, absolutely.
The whole time that they're being manipulated, and they're all supposed to be such like strong, like force wielders.
Yeah.
How do they not see what's happening?
That's the interesting thing. That's like a key thing. I don't know if it's like incredibly well written story by George Lucas, or it's a thing where it's like it just happened to fall that way, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. I don't know if he intended it or it was an accident. So before we dive into like everything, I think the thing that we just want to focus on in the beginning is what this movie does for Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
Not much happens. Pretty much Obi-Wan is kind of just like, cool, it's a kid, whatever. He's surprised that Qui-Gon thinks he's the chosen one. He gets you can tell he's a little annoyed that Qui-Gon abandons him quickly to take on Anakin, right? You could tell he's a little annoyed. And then in Qui-Gon's dying breath, he assures his master that he'll train Anakin.
Right.
And then even though Yoda doesn't really want it, they do say yes, and he does. So that's kind of like what Phantom Menace does for specifically those 2 characters, which will lead into the next 2 films and potentially the series.
I like how at the end there Yoda says, Qui-Gon's stubbornness you need not.
yeah.
Because it's kind of what happens in Star Wars. The Padawan learns from the Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
Kind of take on their ideals of
like their way of thinking, right? Yeah.
And that is kind of what happens. But Qui-Gon is not allowed as a Jedi Knight to have more than one Padawan. That's their whole thing. Is you can only have one. But he had Obi-Wan for a while.
Oh yeah.
And he honestly felt like he was ready for the Jedi trials and become a knight.
Yeah. So
the thing that this movie introduces, though, that Star Wars fans are either hate or they don't even recognize, is they brought in the midichlorian thing.
Yeah.
So it explains now they're like an organ, like a living organism in your body.
Yeah, your body. Yeah.
That connects you to the Force. So whatever. In the
Yeah, we'll
original-
get into it. No, I have some interesting things about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we touch on what we were talking about in the beginning, like they're sending the Jedi Knights to this Trade Federation thing, right, to deal with this. And to credit your point, it's incredibly clear that they're not just like diplomats. They're not people who are just like, we're going to go and resolve this issue. They're known to basically like arrest or, like perhaps even kill people, right? Because
they're SWAT teams.
Yeah, because I can't think what they're called. The people, the Trade Federation guys who are on the ship.
The Viceroy.
The Viceroy guys, right?
What's his name?
They're like Numians or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're terrified that it's two Jedis. When the droid comes in and says, "Oh, they're Jedi Knights," they're absolutely terrified. They're not like, "Oh, okay, like that's normal." It's a thing where it's like they're clearly afraid.
Yeah.
Because they know that the Jedi are not going to. They're not just straight up diplomats and like going to have like an agreeable one-on-one with each other. It's like, sure, we find out a little bit later in the scene that they're working for Lord Sidious, who is a Sith, and obviously he doesn't want Jedi involved. But it's like, why didn't they even meet with these guys? It's like, because they already have a history they already know what these guys do when they show up at places. They either kill people or they arrest people with no questions asked, basically.
Yeah, and basically the only reason that like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were going onto that ship is to basically say like, yeah, you better not set up this blockade around Naboo.
Right.
There'll be consequences, right?
Right.
That's the only reason they're there. So that's why like Qui-Gon is all.
And Qui-Gon already knows it too. He's like, they're not going to talk to us, so.
Yeah. Yeah, because Obi-Wan says, is it customary for them to make us wait this long? And like, no, not just to settle dispute. Because it's almost like this stuff happens, right? Because it's the Trade Federation. So this stuff happens where they have a dispute in negotiation or pricing, and they set up a blockade and say you're not getting any shipments into the planet to dispute this. So basically, the Jedi are supposed to go in and they're supposed to figure out what to do to make both parties happy.
Right, exactly.
So obviously the fact that they're not talking, the Viceroys aren't talking to them, shows that like, no, they're setting up like an invasion. Like
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They don't care about negotiations.
Right. So all that happens and it's fine, and they hide. And the thing that doesn't make any sense, and I've seen a lot of YouTube videos make fun of it, when the droidicas are shooting at them, right? Master, destroy us. And he's there, right? And they go like this, and they're blocking it. And then they're like, yes, we must leave. And they go like that. It's like they never, like, there's no Jedi who ever does that again. Like, okay, this thing's going to happen. And he's like, yo. And he's just like, because when those droidicas turn the thing, they're like all the way down the hallway. It's like, why doesn't any other Jedi anytime ever do that?
Legitimately happened so fast that I don't even remember rewatching this. That happened.
Yeah.
The thing that I remember is like the room is full of gas, and that C3 unit comes out.
Yeah.
And then they light the lightsabers, but then it jump cuts to the scene where Obi-Wan is like jumping out of the door. It's like, why is he jumping out of the door?
Yeah. It's right after, so Qui-Gon is like melting the door.
Oh, right.
And he's like, and he goes, Master, destroy us.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then he's like, and then the shields come on the thing, and they go, pew, 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 pew. Like, we'll never get through those shields.
Droidicas are sweet.
They are. I mean, they're honestly, even the stupid normal droids, it's all cool. Like, they all look cool.
Yeah. The super battle droids are pretty heavy duty too. But
so all that happens, and let's see if I can pull it up. I was trying to see if I can find it quick. They won't claim me in my tiny little box.
Oh, but they will.
But I won't let it have sound, so they won't know anything that's taking place. Okay. So he says, Master, destroy us. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Watch Obi-Wan and Kenobi. Watch him.
Oh my god!
And they're way down the hallway now. They're way down the hallway.
So that is a very. I don't even remember seeing that when I watched it.
It's like
that is very much like a Force like video game.
Oh yeah,
attribute.
It's totally fine that they can do it. It makes sense, but it's like nobody else uses it in the rest of the franchise.
Not in the movies, yeah, never in the movies.
So that happens. The whole thing. It is egregious on so many levels. I never disliked him that much. I always just thought he was a stupid character.
Oh, here we go.
But he's awful.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks is terrible in this movie. And I can't stand it.
Well, the nice thing is if you hate him in this movie, that's too bad. Because he's in every other movie.
He is fine and he is fine as a senator in the next movie. He's fine.
He's better than the second one.
But this movie,
screen time is
yeah. It's the thing where I understand it makes sense. I don't know why Qui-Gon has to run into him. There's a giant. He can run anywhere around the man. He's a Jedi Knight after all. But they have to collide into each other. All this stuff, and he goes into thing, and it's cool with the Gungan stuff, and it all makes sense. And he saves him, and he puts him in the bongo thing. It's fine. The thing that I didn't like was he says they land on Tatooine, right? And they're walking so they just landed, and they're all walking away from the ship, and it's R2, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Jar Jar Binks, and I'm like, why are you bringing Jar Jar Binks? And then the what's his name, Captain Tanaka or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, hold on, one of the handmaiden wants to come, and he's like, no, not on a spaceport. I'm like, you're bringing friggin' Jar Jar Binks with you, buddy. There ain't nothing wrong with a handmaiden come with you. There was no reason for Jar Jar Binks to come.
It's like one of the Queen's personal trusted advisors, right?
Yeah.
Or some weird creature that you picked up on some planet that now owes you a life debt. Why would you bring?
Right, it's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn are at the mercy of the Naboo's government. That's who's in the ship. It's not like you know what I mean? It's like, so they have the right to say who's going where and what's doing what.
Their only job is to protect the Queen. That's their only job.
But having Jar Jar Binks there, he did nothing. It wasn't like, well, bringing him into the city made sense because he could speak Huttese, or he understood something. No.
Well, no, because he introduces Soboba. That's the whole thing. It's all he does. It's all he does on that planet. Is he gets into some fight with some stupid pod racer guy. That's it. That's all it is. Just to say,
I know, and I just don't.
Anakin knows this guy. They have history.
He's literally in the movie to just be stupid and dumb in the movie.
Yeah, he's like the comedic relief.
Yeah,
who doesn't need comedic.
But he's not funny, and that's what's hard about it, is he's not actually funny.
But this choice to even make them even like make him speak a language, make him speak an alien language, and put subtitles. What is the deal with this stupid?
Yeah, Misa. Yeah, I know.
Why? It's so stupid.
It is stupid. It is really dumb.
It's hard to follow.
Yeah,
hard to follow. It's childish. Oh, Misa, no, that's a big boom boom. Shut up.
God. I just, and it's not the thing. I honestly try to give a lot of credit where, it's okay to have a bumbling idiot in the movie. It's fine, right? They've had him, right? I mean, C-3PO in the original, he's a moron. He's always getting shot at. Things are happening to him. He's stupid, but he's funny.
He's annoying, but he's supposed to be funny.
Right. He's supposed to be funny, and also he occasionally serves a purpose, right? Like a scene is happening and something takes place.
Well, he's a translating droid.
He's translating, right? Yeah, it makes sense. And I had a little bit of an issue with R2 going with him, because I was like, why would he need a droid? But I was like, perhaps there's something, who knows? But it was just really weird that he had this big. Qui-Gon was like, no, a handmaiden. outrageous, and I was just like, what are you talking
First
about?
of all, Jar Jar comes from a water climate anyway, so he's got no business even being off the ship on Tatooine.
And they don't even make reference that he's having like a hard time.
When he walks away, he has that stupid throwaway line. Oh, this is a murder on my skin.
This son doing murder to Misa Skin.
Does he?
And then they just walk in the desert. Well, that's too bad. Come on.
I must have blocked it out of my brain or something.
Oh, this is a dry weather, so murder's on my skin. Awful.
So
mix of like alien and Jamaican and childish talking and backwards spelling.
I know, and I feel really bad for the actor who had to play him because everybody hates him, and they send him all this like hate mail and stuff, and it's like, dude, don't. There's a really sad thing. There's legitimately a sad thing. He was in an interview or a documentary, and he talks about how he literally went to some bridge, like the Brooklyn Bridge, and almost committed suicide.
Wow.
From just the amount of hate he got. And I feel bad for him because he doesn't deserve it. It's George Lucas's stupid mind that did that, not him. The actor was just doing what they told him to do.
Oh, a part of my original vision.
Yeah.
But no, I've never understood that. Like, you hate the character, right? You don't hate the guy, the actor. It's got nothing to do.
No, right? Yeah.
People they watch these actors on TV and they're like, I hate that guy. I hate his character. He's always the bad guy. I would kill him if I ever saw him. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's doing his job. And
he's just doing
like him. He's doing a really good job.
Right. Exactly.
But he's
sadly, Jar Jar Binks isn't one of those times, right?
He's a CGI monster. Like, give me a break. Like, what is your deal? But how sad for that actor that would be like, oh man, I was in a Star Wars movie. I could be in a cool Star Wars movie. Like, oh, who were you? And he's like, oh, just some background character, nobody that you know.
I know. So cool thing off of Jar Jar Binks. That's all I have to say about him. It's fine. He's stupid and it's fine. So the thing I didn't know. What do you say? So So I'm going to talk to the Star Wars brain guy now. So are we to believe that
yes,
Lord Sidious, right, Palpatine, is a Nabooian or whatever they call him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his home planet, right? Is what we're led to believe.
I don't know 100% if he is from Naboo. But he is 100% a Naboo senator.
He does say, well, yeah, that's true. He could just be projecting, but he does say our people to.
Well, if he's a senator for Naboo,
right, and so he could just be projecting, right? Yeah.
No, I do not know if he is specifically from Naboo.
Because now, fast forward to.
I forgot that he was even had anything to do with Naboo until I rewatched this movie.
Me too. Yeah, I totally forgot. But fast forward to whatever 8 movies. Yeah. Rise of Skywalker, and he says he has a son. I thought in this movie, is he on Naboo? Is Rey parents from Naboo? I know it's like a lot, but you know what I mean? It's just like it's not if Palpatine was born and raised on Naboo, it's actually a little more believable that he could have had a family.
Yeah. Her parents were actually Gungans.
Oh, Gungans. Perfect.
Oh, there are so many scenes that are it just makes the hair on the back of my neck just. Ugh.
So the other thing was Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon doesn't know what a Gungan is, right? He's like, I don't know what this is. It's a local.
Even people on Naboo hardly know what Gungans are.
So they go into the thing, and he's talking to him and all this stuff. And then he's like, yes, he has what your people call a life debt. I was like, how do you know that, Qui-Gon Jinn? You don't even know what these people are. I was like,
Well, Jar Jar told him about it on the swim.
It was like, hey, you can get me out of this.
No. And then when he finally did get him out of it, he's like, oh, I'd rather be killed here than go go to the core of the planet.
What am I saying? Yeah, I know.
Oh.
So that was that.
Yeah.
So the cool thing that I thought, which was really the two things that go with your midi-chlorian thing and another statement that they say in this movie. So the midi-chlorian thing, number one, I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
He says to Anakin, I believe it's on Coruscant, that he explains what midi-chlorians are. And he says that they're living organisms inside cells. And that Jedi, basically they're a symbiote. People can do this thing. And Anakin's like, well, I don't understand. And he's like, well, with training and time and like meditation, you'll understand. You have to quiet your mind.
Yeah.
So my thought was, so that's literally saying every person, from three-eyed weird guys to like normal people, right?
Yeah.
Whatever those creatures are called, the Gungans, all of them, they all have the potential to use the Force.
Yes.
But it's only due to their inability to like quiet their thoughts and meditate and like hone in on like the silence. And they can't do that. So
it's also now like confirmed that there are like metachlorine like percentage levels, because Anakin's are off the chart. Like they've never seen any other Jedi with his metachlorine level.
Yeah,
because he says even
Master Yoda doesn't have the midi-chlorian count that high.
And Qui-Gon's like, no Jedi does.
No Jedi has this. Yeah, I know.
So I guess that means that everybody has potential to wield some force, however much force is made up in their body.
So it's interesting because like then when you look at it from like what's his name, Han Solo's point of view, and it's like when stuff happens, it's like potentially if he's quieting his mind and being a little more meditative, like he technically can do things in the Force. Maybe he's not going to move a friggin' Star Destroyer, but you know what I mean. Just kind of neat. I actually liked that.
That's how he takes out Boba Fett.
Boba Fett?
All right. That's definitely some Force right there.
And the other thing was, I always thought, up until I was really paying attention to the movie, I always thought that like Jedi were I don't know, just like really good like samurais, just like really good hand-to-hand combat ninja people, right?
Yeah.
So that like when they're fighting in the beginning, and then they can just like either hear the droids like lifting the gun or pulling the trigger, and then they turn and deflect it, right? Or something happens, and they're just like hyper trained to always be aware. But Qui-Gon, I think it's Qui-Gon says it in the movie. He goes that it allows them to see events before they happen.
Oh yeah.
So rather than just being super trained and like deflecting a laser shot, they're essentially seeing the droid shoot at them, and they're reacting to it. They're like essentially like time traveling, because of the Force.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes
it's really interesting to watch how they fight and deflect shots and attack things, because it's a thing where they're pre-seen it.
Yeah.
And that is why, going to your other point you were talking about, was when they get angry, specifically the Jedi get angry, they lose focus and now they can't see stuff. So that's how Darth Maul stabs Qui-Gon. That's how they get kicked by Darth Maul, or Obi-Wan gets like flung down the hole. It's because they're angry, right? They're mad about stuff, and then they get clouded and they can't see the move coming, essentially.
Yeah, the Jedi way of fighting has always kind of been like instinctual. It's not that they're controlling the saber or they're controlling the Force. It's that the Force is controlling them, using them. Like they can see what's happening, and they barely have to do anything to parry and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but that fight scene there with Darth Maul, like you were just talking about, I think Obi-Wan kind of taps into the dark side.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's the thing, right? About the whole thing, even with like the later movies where it's Anakin, oh no, you can't have emotion, you can't have connection with him. But so Qui-Gon gets stabbed and Obi-Wan is holding him and like
he cries. He's crying, right?
So you can't have attachments.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just BS.
Yeah, it really is. It's the same thing. Like this kid's like 9 years old, right? He shows up, and it's like, well, it's like, well, you have an attachment to your mother. He's like, yeah, I miss her, and it's like, no, you can't. We're not gonna train you because you miss your mother.
And I almost feel like that leads Anakin down the dark path even more.
Oh, absolutely.
If he was
exactly that decision to forcefully make him not be connected to his mother, otherwise that he won't be trained as a Jedi,
right,
forces him to forget about her for 10 years.
And the reason he wants to be trained as a Jedi is so he can go back and save her.
Exactly. So he's forced to forget about her or not do anything about her for 10 years. And then when he finally, I forget what happened. You recently watched it. I haven't watched it, but whatever happens, it makes him go and do it. And then she dies. It's like, of course he's going to be like really angry about that. Of course he is.
Rightfully so. And he even starts to blame Obi-Wan in that instinct too.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I said the other night when I was watching it. I was like, it's been 10 years and he like hasn't gone back to see what was going on with his mom. I mean, give me a break.
Right.
If anything is going to make anybody walk down the path to being a villain, it's being separated from all of their attachments, all of their emotional, not being allowed to be with someone you love, not being allowed to be with your parents, your family.
Yep.
It's like even more pushing you towards being like, well, I don't want anything to do with that. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And that's why I do like in the newer movies, can't believe I'm saying that, in the newer movies, when Yoda is basically like, well, it's actually Luke who's saying, the Jedi Order is it's done. It was flawed from the beginning. It was stupid. It's like, yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah.
They literally have been manipulated the whole time until, then there was none of them. And then they were trying to teach a new generation. And that generation, Luke, had to learn on his own, like, that it was flawed.
Yeah.
So even after, Order 66.
Yeah.
It still was, oh, we gotta train these younger ones to become Jedis. No, you don't.
Right.
Be better. Be better. Look at your flaws and become better. But they just they can't see it.
It's so it's so bizarre. There's a lot of stuff in the movie, and and the thing that I think is really interesting too is how Lord Sidious like really orchestrates things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because originally, right, he's all he wants her to do is to sign the treaty.
Oh yeah.
For this thing to take place, and that's it. It wasn't to make him chancellor.
Not necessarily. I feel like he was leading her down the path where he was saying, because the guy who was Supreme Chancellor, that Valerium guy.
Yeah.
He basically talked Padme into saying, like, voting a vote of no confidence.
Right.
Which made them elect a new chancellor.
Right.
And it's almost he knew that he would be replaced as the Supreme Chancellor, which would give him a better role as playing both sides.
I almost feel like he thought about that on the fly, because when the Viceroy guys tell him on the holographic thing that Jedis are there, he's very surprised by it.
Yeah.
He snarls at it, right? And then he's like, kill them. And all he wants her to do is sign the treaty. I think once he realizes that she escapes the blockade, and then all this stuff happens, he's like, hi, there's something I can do here.
But he also never expects Padme to go back to Naboo and fight.
True.
Because even when he's talking to the Viceroy again, and they're like, yeah, this isn't good. And he's like, wow, that was unexpected for her to do that too.
Yeah.
And she basically wins. She wins that battle. So now he, as the Chancellor, has to arrest the Viceroy at the end.
Yeah.
And he has to, play both sides constantly.
My part, it made me kind of think of you, even though you don't do this, but it just made me, I heard your voice in my head was when she's like, I will go back to Naboo and I will blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, don't go. That's dangerous. That's so dangerous. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know why I heard you doing it, but I just heard it be like, oh no. Like, yeah, he was so obvious that no, please don't do that.
It's Willy Wonka. It's Willy
Bang! Stop, don't come back.
Wonka, right? No, don't stop.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Yes, it was you doing that to me before. No, please don't.
No, please.
Help.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But so that's the funny thing. I can't remember in this movie. I'm sure there's probably, because he's there. So Palpatine is there at what's the name? Coruscant.
Okay.
He's on the planet of Coruscant, and that's where the council is. That's where the Jedi Council is. That's where all the politicians are. And there's this whole thing, right? Of the Sith they haven't been around for millennia. There's no way we know anything about that.
Yeah.
Where is Sidious meeting Darth Maul to tell him to go to Tatooine to kill Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Right there in Coruscant. They're all on Coruscant. Even in the second movie, Dooku goes back to Coruscant because that's where everybody is. So the main bad guys, they're on Coruscant with Palpatine. They're corrugating all this stuff right around the Jedi Council.
All around them.
Nobody is. Oh, that's weird. But But Anakin shows up and Yoda's like, "Oh man, no, I can see how scared you are. I can see how terrified you're gonna kill everybody."
Yeah, future is very clouded. Yeah, it does kind of really prove that they really are full of themselves. It really does.
Yeah, because even Mace Windu, I'm pretty sure it's this movie. He says, "Should we let them know that our our senses have been dulled?" And he's like, "Oh no, that would only make it much worse, and it would show that the separatists have the upper hand." Dude.
Yep.
What's crazy to me too is I've spent so much time watching the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. I never watched this movie. I'm like, they don't even know anything about the clones.
No.
They have no idea about clones even existing.
Right.
It was already been set up 10 years ago. But, we haven't gotten into that yet because that's the next movie.
That's the second movie, yeah.
But it's just this whole thing where it's just completely different. This movie is completely just about Naboo breaking that barricade and fighting off.
And that's it. Yeah. It's literally just helping Naboo with this Trade Federation blockade. That's basically the movie, and stuff happens in between, trickles of stuff.
What I was laughing about too is that we know where the movie is heading, and
right.
Don't try it, Anakin. I have the higher ground.
Yeah, sure.
How does Obi-Wan defeat Darth Maul?
He flips over him, and he takes the higher ground.
From the lower ground.
Yeah.
He literally flips over him.
Help. Police. Murder.
It would have been really funny if he was like, "Huh," and Darth Maul was just like, no. Like when he comes down, he cuts all of his limbs.
What's even funnier is Darth Maul kicks Obi-Wan's lightsaber off the ledge.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, that's it. He's out. He doesn't have a weapon anymore." And then he looks down. He does that. I didn't understand that scene. It's almost like he's like swinging the lightsaber to like cause sparks. To,
Oh
like,
yeah.
Obi-Wan's eyes or whatever. And he's looking down at Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is like looking over to like where
Yeah.
Qui-Gon's lightsaber is.
I guess Darth Maul was thinking he just misses his master so much.
Then he literally flips in front of him, lands behind him.
He's like, oh, that's strange.
Like, what?
And then he goes, he's like, oh, what? It is okay. It's a cool scene, but it is a dumb demise of that character.
Right.
But we can all agree that literally when they get in the energy field, choo, 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 that scene, and Darth Maul tests the thing with the saber, and Qui-Gon kneels,
Yeah.
and he's like meditating, and Obi-Wan rushes up, and the thing stops. From that scene to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan holding Qui-Gon,
Yeah.
it is beautiful. I love that fight sequence.
Yep.
It to me,
Absolutely.
it is the best lightsaber duel probably ever in any of the movies.
It's the only one to me that feels realistic.
Yeah.
Because even like you're saying, before that energy field, it just looks like you're watching a ballet.
Yeah.
It is very blatantly and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, right? So it's very much choreographed.
Yeah.
You can tell. Anytime that you have two people fighting one person, and it's like, okay, I'm going to attack now.
Yeah.
Then he blocks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, attack now. It's a block. That's not how people. That's not how.
No.
So that scene, especially after Qui-Gon dies, but now Obi-Wan is like mad, and he comes in the room, and he's just furiously whacking, right? He's just whatever opportunity he has.
I love it.
It's so good. It's such a good fight scene. Such a good sword fight scene in general.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. I literally rewound it and watched it again when he comes off the energy field.
And he jumps out, right? He comes out with all his force, and he's like,
yeah.
And it's so good. And then he even like upswings, right, and cuts his saber in half.
Oh, that's like the best part, right? I know.
I don't know why. It's funny though that Darth Maul, like he's an expert in.
Yeah.
But when he was like, he's like, oh no. Oh well. Dude.
One thing I can think of is when he cut it, it like broke it and he couldn't use the other end of it. It's the only thing I could think of that made sense.
Yeah, it's funny because even now in the second movie too, Obi-Wan gets hurt and he throws Anakin his other saber.
Yeah.
He fights Count Dooku, with both sabers. He's double-handed both sabers. And that's supposed to be like a very like skilled Jedi thing to do, is use.
Right.
And that's like a historical thing too, that sometimes people would fight with double blades.
Oh yeah.
But it's a long one, which is like, it's cool because Ahsoka has it.
Right.
A long saber, and it's a shorter saber. A Asuka or whatever they call them. So now so this is blocking, right? This is blocking close attacks, and this is extended attacks.
Right.
So you're fighting like further away, and then you're blocking up close.
Yeah.
It's just really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. Yeah, that end fight thing is my favorite.
That's great.
And
it takes a lot of courage too to introduce Qui-Gon and introduce Darth Maul, kill them both in the same scene.
True. So, okay, so we'll go off of that since we talked about Darth Maul. So I on Disney Plus, I watched almost all of the deleted scenes. There's a really funny one where Qui-Gon stops Anakin from fighting this little kid, And when he pulls him off, he's like, "Why are you fighting this kid?" And he's like, "Because he said I cheated." It's like after the pod race, and it's like blah blah blah, and you're like, okay. And he's like, "Well, did you cheat?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "So why does it matter?" He's like, "You know what you did." Anakin's like, "Yeah." So they walk away from this kid, and then when the kid's walking away, remember the other little
Oh yeah,
oh god,
Greedo.
Is it called Rhodians?
I think it's legitimately supposed to be Greedo as a kid.
So this is the thing. In that deleted scene, he walks up to the other kid who's in that movie, who's in Phantom Menace, and he goes, "Better watch out, Greedo."
That's right. So it
he
is.
says, the other Rhodian says to this. So basically, Anakin in the deleted scene is beating up Greedo.
That's right. I do remember. So somewhere in the back of my head, I remember that is supposed to be Greedo, and that's the deleted scene.
Yeah. So there's that. But the one of the things, and I thought, why did you delete this? It's literally like 15, 16 seconds. And it makes so much sense because you probably thought the exact same thing that I thought. Obi-Wan's like, so Darth Maul and Qui-Gon are fighting in the desert, right? Anakin drop, and they fight. Right? And Obi-Wan's like, bring the ship over, and they extend the little ramp thing. And then Qui-Gon jumps up, and then it's like, and he goes inside. He walks inside the ship, and then it cuts, and it's like Darth Maul standing there angrily, his back to camera. He puts the thing down, and then you go to the scene inside the ship, and he's like Qui-Gon's like laying on the ground. And you're like, okay, number one, why didn't Darth Maul just follow him onto the ramp? Like, who cares? And two, like, why is Qui-Gon laying on the ground? He walked up the ramp. So in the deleted scene, he jumps up onto the ramp, and so does Darth Maul.
Oh, cool.
And he fights him on the ramp, and then like kicks him off.
That's cool.
And he falls back into the ship while he's on the ground, and it shows Darth Maul landing back on Tatooine, and then they use the end of that cut to have him stand there and get rid of the lightsaber.
No, why would they cut that out?
And it makes so much more sense because then when they come to him, when Obi-Wan comes to him in the room, he's like laying down. He's like, that's why he's like, oh, because it's like it was kind of close. He was chasing him like all the way into the ship. Like, it makes sense. I don't know why they cut it. And it's not like a 4-minute scene. It's like literally 15 seconds. So I don't know. It was really cool. You should watch it on the deleted scene. It's like one of the few things they should have actually kept in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
But
so let's talk about. Oh, did you have something specific?
I just had two things about R2D2 and C3PO, but go ahead.
You can do that quick because I think the next thing I want to bring up will probably be a minute.
Oh, so the thing I thought was, do you think that R2D2 is a Naboo-made droid?
I think so. I
wasn't sure if it was like the Jawa situation where it's just like you just buy droids from some random place, or is it like, are these essentially like the Queen's droids from that ship?
Well, it's weird because he's like the only blue astro, right? So like R5 is red,
right?
R4 is like red. So I don't know. I mean, you're first introduced to him when he's fixing the Naboo ship.
Yeah, he comes out of the little thing and then goes up the thing. And I thought
he's like the only one that survives that.
So it made me think, like, I just wasn't sure to interpret that whether he's just R2 and he's cool and he can't die, obviously, or like he was an astromech droid from Naboo. Like they make them there. They make those type of droids on Naboo. I don't know.
For me, if he's on the Queen's like getaway ship already, that would mean to me that he's from Naboo.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And my second thing was, and you understand why, because R2's a cooler character, but story-wise, it makes no sense. Anakin built C-3PO for his mother, right?
Yeah.
Rest of the movies in the animated series, he loves R2-D2. It's like, why would you not love C-3PO? He's the thing you literally made with your hands. Like, it doesn't make any sense why Anakin loves R2 over C-3PO.
Well, because C-3PO is annoying, and it's a
right. I understand.
It's a constant reminder of the fact that he built something for his mother who is dead.
Well, yeah, okay, so there you go. So that's a great point. Yeah, no, I mean, it really is, because I mean, it's just really funny that like they focus so hard on R2 and the rest of the stuff, and I'm like, dude, you made RC3PO.
What's interesting too is even going into like the second movie, Anakin and R2D2 aren't like buddy yet.
No,
it's very much like Padme uses R2D2 for stuff.
Yeah,
and even moving forward in the Clone Wars, C3PO is like a big part of Padme's story. Like he
stays with like Padme mostly. Yeah.
And R2D2 I think becomes more buddy with Anakin when they're flying, because he's his droid cockpit co-pilot or whatever they are.
It's on autopilot.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah.
Now this is podcasting.
So speaking of that, rewatching the entire pod race to me was like much more enjoyable than it's ever been.
Okay.
Because you've seen that and you're just like, oh my god! So it's like now we're doing a race in this movie. But it's really cool. It's a really fun.
To me, it showcases that Anakin's a good pilot, that he potentially can use the Force, as Qui-Gon says, right? That would take a Jedi's level of reflexes to like drive that fast and stuff like that. And I also wonder too, like, is the magnet stick?
Yeah.
Was it the magnet or was it the Force? Like, I kind of wondered.
I don't think it's the Force, but I think that shows how like adept he is to like quick thinking.
Oh, sure, yeah.
To like have that like in there, like he knows that that's a thing that can happen, that can come undone from the thing.
And he's like spinning around, and he just goes like flick, 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 flick. And then he's just like, whoa, and he's just like hanging on.
I love like the whole build up though to the beginning of the race where they're like, oh yeah, it's just a race, it's a pod race, and then they get there and they're like, all right, Annie, I hope you get across the finish line this time.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
He goes, oh, I've never won a race. Not only has he never won, but he's never completed a race. He's never completed all 3 laps.
No.
So that's pretty cool.
And what's her name was in the thing, right? She's been added. The bounty hunter lady. She's in the pod race scene.
Really? Ooh.
She has the antenna in her head.
Oh yeah, she's on the cliff there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's a blink and you miss it scene.
I think she's the one that trains Boba to be a bounty hunter.
That sounds good.
Yeah. It's cool to see Jabba.
Yeah. Bobo. Yeah.
I like how he's so bored of it. He just can't.
He doesn't even care.
He's like sleeping halfway through them.
And he's like kicking the things off the ledge.
That's how he keeps track of what
lap it is. I wondered that the same thing. Is he just like flicking these things off, or is he just like, oh, it's lap 2, see you later?
So what is cool is in the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian gets a new ship.
Yeah,
gets an upgraded ship on Tatooine, and it's those yellow Naboo starfighter things.
Oh,
and it's like this era, it's like pre-war or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, they tune it all up, take the yellow paint off it, and he takes it out for a test drive on Tatooine. And the mechanic, she's like, yeah, take it through its paces over on Baker's Canyon, which is where the pod racing is. And there's a scene that he's flying through the cliffs, and he goes around the cliff, right? But he goes around the cliff where that like ramp is.
Oh yeah,
and
the service ramp, yeah.
And the barricade is still all smashed apart from where Anakin goes over it, because nobody goes out there. It's just a cool scene that ties that show into the older stuff, but also now watching the older stuff, you're like, oh, that's cool that Mando's gonna fly through there.
Yeah, that is cool. Growing up, I had all of the I don't know if it was like micro machines or it was just like miniature, but I had all the pod race ships.
Oh,
So I had like Sebulbas and Ben Quadraneros and
One that blows up.
yeah. Yeah. I had him. Humpty Dumpty guy. Yeah. And my favorite one to play with, but in the movie I don't care about him. It's like the green one, and it has like the fins, like really long, and it has like the orange stripe that goes down it.
That's cool.
I think he's like I forget which one. He's like the kind of weird, like pasty white guy. I forget what his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That was like my favorite one as a kid. I didn't care about Anakin's or Sebulba's. It was always like this green one.
I just remember the pod racing game that came out too. That it was
the pod racing game. Yeah.
But I think the whole pod racing thing is cool because looking back on it, it fits in to the Tatooine aesthetic. It is very much like just a scrapper. You scrap together these basically
random things,
and then it's like a race to the death.
Yeah, I mean, in Obi-Wan or what's his mom's name? I forget what his mom's name is.
Something with an S.
Yeah.
Seb.
Smee, something like that.
Smeen.
They explain like why the pod racing even exists on the planet, right?
Yeah,
it's just a way to gamble. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has to race because he's a slave, so he's like forced to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watto. And we haven't even talked about what I think Watto's a pretty awful character too.
Yeah, Watto is a really bad stereotype of what he's supposed to be representing.
He is a stereotype.
But I like the idea of the character, and I like his he's supposed to be nasty and yucky, and you don't want to, you know what I mean? But yeah, how he talks and stuff. It's like he should have just spoke Huttese like the whole time.
You know what is irritating to me is
Sure.
I don't know if they delve into it in this movie, but in the second movie, they're on Coruscant.
Okay.
And there's scenes where they're flying it and aliens are talking. And then the subtitles say speaking in Huttese. I'm like, why are they speaking Huttese on Coruscant? Like, yes, obviously languages, it goes.
I'll have to look for that.
Every single scene where there's an alien talking, it says in Huttese. Why are they all speaking Huttese? That's not like a universal language. No. There's a very specific like Tatooine language.
Yeah.
Because Tatooine is controlled by the Hutts.
Right.
Their language is Huttese, so they can speak to the Hutts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to look for it. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, you'll see it.
So what was your thing? Was it the pod racing or?
Yeah, the pod racing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pod racing is I agree with you. I was watching it and I didn't find myself like looking away or looking at my phone or getting bored with it. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And I was actually paying attention more to like the way George Lucas filmed it to be like, how do you make this interesting? Because Anakin's gonna win.
Right.
It's like, how do you make me want to watch this? Because obviously the kid's not gonna be. He's not going to be like, well, you lost, and what's Qui-Gon going to kill Watto and be like, let's go, he's going to get free. So it was interesting to watch.
I really like how their Jedi mind tricks don't work on Watto.
Yeah, Toydarians.
He's like, no, Republic credits are there. No, they won't. No,
he does a kind of he kind of does a contradicting statement there. He goes, what are you doing? He says, mind trick, Jedi mind tricks are. He says, "What are you, a Jedi? Mind tricks don't work on me." And then he doesn't immediately think that he's a Jedi.
No.
Like a lot of people walking around Mos Eisley, like just going like.
I do. It's just funny to me too. Like after like Anakin wins, he's like, "Oh, it's rigged. It's rigged.
It's rigged."
It's like, dude. But Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon's like, "All right, well, we'll just take it up with the Hutts." No, it's fine. It's fine.
No, yeah.
Oh man.
Did you know that here's an insider? So whose line is it anyways?
Uh-huh.
So if you can find him. His name is Greg Proops.
Yes.
Glasses. He always plays like the weird, funny guy in the old episodes. He's in the new stuff too. But anyways, he is the second head. He's the non-Hut Tease announcer at the pod racing.
Yeah, I kind of remembered that.
Yeah. Every time I hear him, go, whoa, there's Anakin Skywalker. And I'm like, that's the guy from Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Yeah, they're awful.
The thing I wondered was that announcer guy, was he just repeating what the other guy was saying, Hut Tease? Or were they saying two separate things?
Who knows? Who cares?
Who cares?
What's crazy to me, too, is that, obviously you look back and you're like, wow, the CGI is really it's lacking on a few things, But what's crazy too is Jurassic Park came out 93, and you're like,
yeah,
it looks great today. It still looks good.
Yeah.
You watch this and it's just like, oh. But honestly, Jurassic Park was filmed in a way where it's supposed to hide that kind of stuff. It's supposed to blend it in. And this movie is very blatantly it is in space. It's all these crazy aliens. We'll CGI everything. Nobody's gonna care. It ages terribly.
The space stuff, the ships,
the
sets, fantastic.
They're great.
When that little red ship in the beginning, the scroll goes up and he's like, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Even when they're inside the thing and it's like Captain, and then the thing turns and blows up the ship.
Yeah,
it looks perfect.
They did use a lot of miniatures too. So
they did use a lot of miniatures.
I'm sure that a lot of that stuff is miniatures. I think even the Chrome ship is.
The Chrome ship is. Yeah, I just watched the thing about Adam Savage. The Chrome ship and the scene where the Viceroys are coming off the ramp, I think in Naboo. Miniature. That's an actual miniature ship filmed super close.
That's cool.
But you're saying, so there's certain shots of Sebulba in Mos Eisley and Jar Jar and a couple other things that it's very obvious that it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Even some of the big grouper fish, that sequence is cool, but some of the fish don't the natural setting of the ocean with the little tiny fish look good, but then when you get those weird big fish, they don't. Because that first when you first see the fish, the monster fish, he looks really cool. That huge one with the arms.
Yeah, right.
He looks sweet, but then when you see him bite with the orangey red eyes, he doesn't look cool anymore. He looks weird. He looks out of place.
Yeah, I know. That is a cool scene though. I love the Qui-Gon's line, right? There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish.
Shut up. Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
So Naboo is cool too because that's all filmed in Italy, made.
Oh, cool.
That made
I didn't know
the
that.
house is a real palace in Italy, and it's
oh, cool.
So it's super cool. Yeah. What else? Pod racing.
Oh, the thing that upset me and it made no sense at all is Senate, right? He's there in the Senate.
Yeah.
And then they come up and it's you can't make these accusations. And it's well, I'm making these accusations because they're hurting my people. Remember, the Queen, Padme's in the thing, right? So then the guy gets up there and he's like, order, and then it's now the bureaucrat steps in. Okay, just playing out the scene thing. So he does the thing. She votes. She makes a vote of no confidence.
Yeah.
And then it just shows the chancellor, and he's like, and I was like,
yeah, right.
There's 400 nations here. Her one vote means he's off the thing.
I think what that does is it takes it to a vote, and I think he knows that everybody kind of hates him.
Yeah.
But what's funny is so one thing that's funny in that scene. There is, how all the aliens are in their little pod seating around.
Oh yeah.
So in the bottom corner, try to find a video. In the bottom corner, there is a pod, and it's all aliens that look like ET.
Yeah, they're ET aliens. Yeah, it's they do a cut and like up in the top right, it's like weird horror monster alien looking things, and then they're like down
Yeah.
ET things. Yeah, it's the same thing in Attack of the Clones. You already watched it, but you can see the Millennium Falcon like docking.
Oh yeah.
It's like way at the bottom. There's a shot where they show a whole bunch of starships, and if you look way at the bottom of the screen, you can see the Millennium Falcon like going into port type of thing.
That's cool. It would be owned by Lando at that point.
Yeah. Wow. Presumably.
Yeah.
It's
just funny because
I think there's like Wookiees too. Aren't there Wookiees in that scene too? Like in
I'm sure there have to be. Sure there have to be. But yeah, no, like we were saying before, there is a huge like time cut between the Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Right? And then the next one, it's like they're in the middle of they're in the middle of war.
Yeah, they're towards the end of the war.
And
it literally goes this movie 10 years, next movie is like 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a 10-year gap because Anakin's supposed to be 10 years older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he's supposed to be 9, so that makes him like 19 in Attack of the Clone.
Yep.
And it makes Padme like in her early 20s.
Yep.
Which is always really fun to watch a 14, 15-year-old like.
Yeah. I was going to say, she's 14?
She's like 14, 15. I don't know exactly, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I get she doesn't do anything weird to Anakin, but it's just funny that like I don't know.
There are some really, really, really cringy scenes with them in the second.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it just burns.
The thing that made me laugh,
I'm
right?
thinking about you every day, and it just burns.
Well, the second movie, yeah. So Anakin's sitting in the thing, and she's like, "What's wrong, Anakin?" He's like, "I'm so cold." She goes and gets him the blanket, right?
And she's like, "Oh, you're used to warmer climates."
And he's like, "I made this out of a juniper snippet or whatever." And then it's like, "Oh." And then Jar Jar comes in and he's like, and stuff. And he says garbage to her. And it's the weirdest cut. He says something to her like, "Oh, well, don't you think this is good?" And then it just cuts back to Natalie Portman and she's like, and she doesn't say anything, and it just cuts the scene. And I was like, why did you cut back to Natalie Portman and make her say nothing? Like, what's happening? There's so many weird decisions in this first movie.
So, that reminds me too of like when they convince the Gungans to like join them. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know," and he's talking in a way where you're like, first of all, I don't understand what the frick he's talking about. And then Natalie Portman's like, "Oh," like worried. And he's like, "That's a great idea."
Yeah.
And then it just cuts back to everybody being like,
"Yeah, oh yeah,
they're nice." And then they're like, "Oh, Jar Jar, you're gonna be a." you're gonna be one
of the generals.
Oh boy. Yeah,
so before we wrap it up, the last thing I want to say was, and it's an interesting thing, it's more of a brain thought rather than tearing the movie apart.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He holds Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan's holding Qui-Gon, he tells him the thing. Then he goes back to Coruscant, or at least I believe he does. He talks to Master Yoda, and Yoda's like, maybe, okay, yeah. And
Yoda's like counseling him on stuff, and then he's like, "Well, the council already decided that you could do that, but I just wanted to be a jerk.
Just wanted to be an idiot. Gotcha."
No, and council already said yeah.
So the thing that I thought was interesting.
Shut up, you yellow.
The thing that I thought was interesting was they go back to Naboo. So some time has passed, right? Because Anakin has like a shaved head and a lock. It's like Andy's in like robes, so it's not like cut to. it's been some time.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, like all of the Jedi Council come to Naboo.
Yeah, because Naboo had brokered peace with the stupid Gungans. Like they all needed to be there for that. And then she's like, wait, what does she get? What does she get? I don't understand. There is no. It's like, what is that? What is that? How
it's a crazy
awful,
ball of energy.
how awful and ineffective are their stupid weapons on that battlefield?
Yeah.
It's like they got these giant freaking alien monsters. And they're like, release the cannons, and they shoot the little cannonball, and it goes like bounce, and it bounces twice, and it takes out like 4 robots. Like, dude, there are millions. you have these giant cannons, and they're just disrupting like 3 or 4 robots.
I know. Because even when Jar Jar stupidly like opens the thing and they roll out, I forgot that. Like I was like, oh, that's right. This is when he kind of saves them for a minute, and it's like not really. He takes off like 1 tank, and then that's it.
No,
like,
all that is just another stupid scene where he can be like, "Oh, I gotta run music. I gotta run away now." All that is.
Jump, Jar Jar, jump. Anyway, so
I surrender.
Oh,
that part is funny. That's the only funny part. He's like, all right, don't worry, Jar Jar. We get through this. We no matter what. We never talk. I talk.
That's true. That did make me laugh. So that happens. But the thing I wondered is, and it kind of goes back to Return of the Jedi, is like, is it some sort of like secret Jedi code to burn the Jedi on the planet they died?
They died. That's an interesting point.
Because they burned Qui-Gon on Naboo, clearly, because all of the Jedi Council are there.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense why the Jedi Council are there. Yeah. I forgot that it's a funeral ceremony.
Because it has to be, because there's no other way. They would not take his body back to Coruscant, like everyone, and then they would go back to Naboo. So, because I think in the scene, Anakin's standing there watching him. He doesn't have a buzz cut hair. They're watching Qui-Gon burn. He doesn't have buzz cut hair.
Oh.
And Palpatine's there, right? Because Palpatine say there's always 2. I wonder who was destroyed, the apprentice of the master. And it's like, bomb, bomb, bomb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kid, right?
Yeah.
You only see it under the cape, right?
And the second thing is obviously Vader dies on the Death Star, but Luke saves his body, and Endor is the closest thing. So it's like they burn him on Endor as a Jedi. So it's interesting that I was just wondering, like, if that was some sort of thing, because Obi-Wan, you would think Obi-Wan would get that, but he just turns into robes. So it's like you don't burn him on Tatooine. Well, they're on the Death Star, so you wouldn't have any place to burn him. I guess it would be the nearest planet, apparently. So,
I never thought about that. Yeah. So what's interesting about that whole thing, anyway, is that Qui-Gon gets burnt. His body gets burnt, but he still somehow becomes a Force like ghost, essentially.
Yeah.
Talks to Obi-Wan at certain times. But
he can't like materialize.
Yeah. But Obi-Wan Kenobi gets turned straight into a Force ghost by like disappearing his body.
And Yoda.
And Luke, technically.
And technically Luke. Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't matter then. However you die, that you can still be the Force can still use you.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's one thing I want.
Unless that's what Vader does the last minute.
Maybe.
And they're just like burning the machine, like burning the stuff. It's more symbolic rather than a Jedi funeral. It's just symbolic of burning Vader, and he's on the Death Star. That's how he was able to bring Vader. Instead of a body, he just brought basically like machine parts onto the ship.
Yeah.
That's a guess.
Qui-Gon himself could disappear on that altar and then just burn the ceremonial robes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's one thing that I really, really want to see in the Obi-Wan.
Oh, is Liam Neeson and Don't do that. Don't.
I want to see him. I want to see him. I want to see him as a force ghost. And the reason I think that we will is because Liam Neeson said that anytime ever, if they ever want to bring Qui-Gon back for anything, he is 100% on board for anything. And if anybody is going to do it, you know who it's going to be.
I didn't even
think about it.
Consider.
Well, that's because you're a fool. That's because you're a Star Trek fan.
Oh God, that makes me so
right because in The Last Jedi we get to see Yoda come back as a Force ghost and talk to Luke. Imagine Obi-Wan instructing, or Qui-Gon instructing Obi-Wan in a way. Maybe that's how Obi-Wan learns about Anakin being Darth Vader. Is Qui-Gon talks to him.
Wouldn't it be interesting, right? He has a moment to maybe kill Vader. He can strike him down, type of thing. He can take him out.
Qui-Gon appears.
And Qui-Gon stops him, and he's like, no, he's the chosen one.
Dude, that would be sweet.
He's like, that's Anakin. And he's like, what do you mean that's Anakin? He's like, no, that's Anakin.
Yeah.
He's like, he's the chosen one still. He's just lost to the dark side. You have to bring him back.
Yeah, and you want to know a secret is that he's going to die as a Jedi. And the only way he's going to do that is if you kill yourself. You let him kill you.
Oh, don't.
So he already knows. So he knows the whole time.
He's like, and the only way to let it happen is this, and let his son.
Yeah.
Let his son bring his heart back.
You must protect his son.
You must protect his son.
At all costs, Obi-Wan. That'd be pretty cool.
Let me teach you the ways of how to do like Force Ghost stuff. All right. If they don't do this now, we're not talking ever again.
Hey, good.
Good. I didn't even consider that. I didn't even consider it.
Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that we will see that.
Wow.
No, that would be cool.
To me, that would just make the series right there.
Show? Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm telling you, if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be the Filone Meister. He is a fan of Star Wars, and he understands what people in Star Wars want. And what would you want to see in an Obi-Wan Kenobi series after 29 years of him being in a movie? Is well, no, it's been more than that, but yeah.
23 years from 99.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what more would you want to see as an Obi-Wan fan?
I know, really.
And I'm interested to see too, like what they do with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was half sad and half glad that they didn't really show much in the trailer about Vader.
What's funny to me too is like I am like when I heard the news, I was like, oh, that's gonna be sweet. And then I just watched Attack of the Clones last night, and I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But he is a little better in Revenge of the Sith, just a little bit.
He does, but that's a Star Wars trope anyway. That you were just an awful angsty teenager anyway. I mean, look at Luke. You watch New Hope. Like this Luke character is an idiot.
He's a piece of garbage.
I wanted to go.
You're gonna sit there and you're gonna drink your blue milk.
Uncle Bro, I don't want to drink my blue milk. It's the whole movie.
Sure.
We're gonna do pod racing.
Oh god.
There's a thing coming up in the next movie about the Skywalkers that I really want to talk about because it makes no freaking sense to me.
It makes no sense to you, or makes a lot of sense? No sense. Okay.
No, it makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Also, speaking of Skywalker, it's revealed in this movie, like either Anakin's mom doesn't want to talk about it, or she just confirmed that Anakin was like an immaculate conception.
Yeah. You kind of have the feeling based off of her discussion with Qui-Gon. And I think he says something in the council to them too, that he's made from midi-chlorians.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because he says, yeah, who was the father? And she was, oh, there was no father. What are you
He's
talking
like, well, I carried him, I gave birth to him, I raised him.
Mhm.
I don't know how to quite explain it. You're like you could just be like his dad's Mitch. You know what I mean? Like it's not that hard.
I met him at the cantina one night. They were playing this great song. It was like,
Yeah, to me it's like she's so unhelpful in that scene.
Mhm.
It's like it doesn't make any sense. It would be easy to say to Qui-Gon, I don't know, I woke up one morning and I was pregnant. Oh, that's weird. Or two, well, he doesn't really have a father. He's not like I've raised him by myself, right?
She talked about it in a way where it was like, oh, he's a deadbeat. I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
But it's framed in a way where it's like, oh no, it's basically he's Jesus.
Like
No, there's no dad. No, I just birthed him, raised him, fed him. He's basically just a force ghost. He just exists.
yeah, it's weird. But the other thing is too, right? Anakin says that he wasn't born on Tatooine.
Mm.
Because he says we came here. He says how many years they've been there. I forget how long he said.
Yeah.
They came here and basically, whatever. So she was elsewhere. It's probably Palpatine again or something, right now.
Jesus. Oh God. No, we're done with that. We're done with that stuff. We have to look it up. I'm gonna have to look up the Skywalker lineage.
Yeah.
Because according to what happens in the second movie, he's not even a Skywalker.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it when we get there.
Well, they call him Skywalker.
Yeah, they do. No, they do. And that's why I'm saying it makes
Okay.
zero sense. Big old 2 zeros. Because yeah, we'll talk.
Okay. Oh yeah. Not too much. We're gonna have something to talk about in Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I'm sure there's nothing else really in that movie.
All right.
I think that'll cover it.
Yeah, that covers it. So just like the other podcast, stay tuned for episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're like, who knows by when this goes up, but we'll be about a month out from Obi-Wan the series.
Yeah. Then we're going to do one full episode where we're going to talk about every episode of the Clone Wars.
Every single
freaking episode. Every episode. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I forgot to put in that Jurassic video, like another video about Obi-Wan. I did find a video that's like, here's what you need to know before Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll splice that in this one and go back and splice it in the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, next time we'll talk about some clones.
Clones.
We've been building an army for 10 years and none of the Jedi were like, no idea. What's this? Oh, that was lucky. Well, that turned out we really needed them. That worked out beautiful.
Beautiful.
Oh, man. All right, so we will see you guys for episode 2.
In the next one.
Yeah, no, you can't follow it up.
Oh, yeah. I'll just say like, comment, and subscribe.
Do it. And buy me a coffee.
So stupid.